This week on Not Another Movie podcast, we go back to the future to find a director for The Flash.
The Lion King looks like it's finally got its Timon and Pumba.
And Shaun Kelly gets an erection with a new addition to Jurassic World 2.
I'm impressed that you can see from there.
Alright, welcome to episode 13 of Not Another Movie podcast. I am Shaun Pierce.
I am Shaun, Jeff Goldblum loving Kelly.
And it has been a big week in the movie news. I don't think we've had so much news to talk about, to be honest, so I'm actually quite excited to delve into this week's news. But before we do, I just want to give a quick story about when I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy the other night.
Yep.
So we've spoken about previously on this show that I generally go to the movies during the day. I do shift work, so I get a lot of time during the day. So this was a rare occasion that I actually stepped out into the nighttime and watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It was the first screening on a Monday night, so it was pretty full. So generally I like to sit up the front, you know, maybe 5 rows back from the screen. Generally no one sits there, but because, you know, this was a full house, I went to a row. The middle section was open, but there was 2 people on either end. So there was 4 people in the row, probably 10 in between. I'm like, sweet, I'll go in the middle of that one. Preview's already started, so I wasn't expecting much more to come in. Sit down, not 3 minutes later, as I said, seats on either side of me, plenty. This guy sits right next to me. I'm like, like seriously. I feel your pain when you talk about those weirdos who sit next to you.
Yeah, when there's empty seats everywhere. Dude, I'm not here to socialize.
So I think I'm at an age now where I just don't give a fuck. So I literally just picked myself up and moved one seat next to me.
Did he move again? Because that would be awkward.
That would be very awkward, but no, he didn't move again. I want to use both armrests. I'm not going to share my armrests.
I respect that. You got the space, man.
Correct. All right, so we're halfway through the movie, and you know, we'll talk about the movie later. But there's a bit of a quiet piece in the middle, not much happening. This guy takes out his phone, jumps on Tinder, and starts swiping right and left for like 10 minutes. And like, you know, fair enough, if you want to do that, turn your screen down, the brightness down. This guy had it full blast. So I'm checking out, I'm trying to have a perv as well while I'm looking at his Tinder screen, saying, oh yeah, probably swipe left on that one, probably swipe right on that one. So that was distracting enough.
You must have been really loving this movie, by the way, if that's caught your attention.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll get into that soon enough. But then another, say, 10 minutes into that, the Guardians have got a killer soundtrack. And I can't remember what song it was. But then the guy, a couple seats down from me, he starts singing to this song. And I'm not talking about just like a word here and there. The song went for at least 2 or 3 minutes. He sang it word for word. I'm like, shut the fuck up. What's wrong with these people? So I've got a guy swiping left and right on one side. I've got an idiot singing every song that's coming on my right. And then there was a dickhead in the back of me who would just laugh at anything. Even if it wasn't funny, he'd be just like, ha, ha, ha. So this is why I don't go out to movies at night, because you're generally going to sit with more of the general population, and the more general population you get, you're more nuffs you're bound to run into. I just happen to be surrounded by them.
Oh my god, you chose that session. That's very poor. Did the guy end up getting a match on Tinder?
Not that I saw.
That's the real story here.
The action kind of picked up after he kept swiping, so he only swept for 5-10 minutes. So I was in this like triangle of idiots. I had one on the left and right, and one in the back.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right.
Correct. It was like the Bermuda Triangle of dickheads, and I was smack bang right in the middle.
You disappeared in the middle of it. That's so good.
Now,
should we give a quick review of the film and then save the spoilery review for the end?
Yes, I was just about to say the same thing.
All
right, now, as I probably can tell by what I've said already, I didn't love this film.
You hate Marvel?
I didn't. No, I didn't say I didn't like it. I think my expectations were so high that I went in there just expecting just to love everything and just be showered in all its goodness. But to be honest, I wasn't. The film opened really well. It closed really well. But in between, I thought it was rather dry. I think they tried to do something that was more of a character piece but
Yep.
didn't necessarily pull it off.
Yeah, I kind of had the opposite experience to you because it's very famous how that I don't want to masturbate the first film as much as everybody else. But so I went in this one with kind of like, I'm sure it'll be fine, but I actually enjoyed it more than the first one.
Is that
I
because it
thought-
wasn't necessarily an action flick? It was more of a character piece?
Yeah, maybe, but the plot just made more sense. Like every beat was kind of like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, as opposed to some issues with the last one where it's like, oh, we need to get to the next set piece, so let's just have Drax call Ronan on the phone because why not? Whereas this one, I don't know, it seemed like it was a more. I mean, it wasn't groundbreaking, but everything made logical sense, and I liked the characters. I thought there were some nice developments there. I like the new additions. And look, I'm sure a big part of it is Kurt Russell, because if I've got a man crush on Jeff Goldblum, I've definitely got a man crush on Kurt Russell.
Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah.
But for me, my take on what you just said, I thought there was a good story for Star-Lord, and
Yeah.
I just thought the rest of them were just dragged along.
Well, funnily enough, I went to see it with my dad, and he said the exact same thing as we were walking out. He's like, well, there's not much to that big guy, is there? I'm like, nah, he just kind of sits in the background and says funny stuff.
See, this is the thing. He's Drax the Destroyer. He didn't destroy shit in this film. Maybe
No, he
after
didn't.
the first 10 minutes, he was...
He destroyed my sides with this hilarious banter.
That, I will admit, was very good. At first, I just thought,
Yeah.
oh no, it's just bad joke. But the jokes generally got good. But
Yep.
my issue as well is that it just felt like everyone kind of had to have their comedy moment in this film.
Yep. Yep.
I thought maybe that was a little forced as well, rather than just letting it happen naturally.
I do agree with that. And actually, let's move on, because we'll get into spoilery discussion.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff I want to say about that. So yeah, but would you recommend people go and see it?
Look, if you're a fan of Marvel, you have to watch it because it. I wouldn't say it necessarily ties in, but that's another thing we'll talk about later on. But obviously, if you're a fan of the series, of course you're going to go and watch it, but maybe just tone down your expectations.
Yes, I think that. Temper your expectations and you'll enjoy it more.
All right, well, let's kick into this movie news, shall we?
Yeah, so much.
This week we got our first look at the Kingsman, the Golden Circle. Now, I've been looking forward to this trailer, and I got to say I wasn't disappointed.
No, it looks awesome.
Again, they're following the trend of setting the trailer to a song. This time they've actually chose a really mellow piece, My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
It wasn't the upbeat tempo that we're used to with, say, Suicide Squad, The Mummy, and what was last week's one with the immigration song? Oh, with Thor Ragnarok.
With Thor, you're right.
We didn't have that pace, but the visuals looked fantastic. And of course, the cat's out of the bag. Colin Firth is definitely back for the sequel.
Which that was one of the most poorly kept secrets in cinema, but it's good to see him out there. I'm a big Firthy fan.
One thing I did like, and when they said that Channing Tatum was going to be in this, I'm just like, oh no, he's just going to look like a dick, an American dressed up like these English gentlemen. But it looks like he kind of has his own style, and he's part of a different group, which I quite liked.
What are they? They're called something else. I was reading with this. Sorry, go on.
No, there was something on his belt buckle, and I thought the same thing, that they are called something else. They're not the Kingsmen.
Yeah, it's which is a cool idea. And apparently, all their code names come from alcoholic beverages, because their home base is a whiskey distillery.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. So
it's just a cool universe that they're kind of building.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the serious James Bond world that we get. It's more of I wouldn't say a spoof, but it's more a relaxed James Bond environment. How's that?
Yeah, it's a little bit over the top, which is funny when you say that about James Bond, because James Bond's pretty over the top, but it's over the top in a different way. And they're called the Statesman, which is an awesome name.
There you go. All right, but yeah, so far so good with the Kingsman, the Golden Circle, in our opinion.
Channing Tatum is a good character actor, so I think he could be a lot of fun in this movie.
Yeah, he's he's voted the most sexiest man in the world, but he doesn't take himself so seriously too.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Just like me.
Yes, exactly like you.
Every way.
All right, well, as we said, this has been a massive week. There was just announcements and bombs every day of the week this week. So let's try and get through a lot of the stories. So bear with us. All right, this week we almost pretty much 99.99% confirmed that David Fincher and Brad Pitt are set to return to the world of World War Z.
Which is really interesting. I'm one of the people who thought the first film was fine. It was good. I'd like to see more stories set in that world. Yeah, I'm keen, and I like Fincher and I like Brad Pitt.
Yeah, well,
I like them together.
David Fincher hasn't made a movie since Gone Girl, and I think that's at least 2-3 years old now. So it's going to be good to see him back because, yeah, he's a filmmaker of this generation that everything he pretty much brings out is almost really good.
Yeah,
and it's going to be the fourth time that he contributes with Brad Pitt with Seven, Fight Club, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button being the last times he's worked with him.
And they're all great films.
Yeah.
Really.
It's going to be interesting because he hasn't really done like a big action film, David Fincher. So whether this is a more dramatized version of this world, I'm not sure what we're going to get.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it'll be good whatever it is. I'd like to see him tackle an action kind of film.
Yeah, so would I. I mean, this guy could do anything. I remember there were rumors when he might have done the Batman film, and that would have been fantastic to see.
Great, you kidding me?
Yeah, who knows what he's going to bring to it, but what he does bring is excitement, and as I said, he hasn't put a foot wrong in my opinion, so I'll watch anything he makes.
Batman as like a Fight Club style film? Oh boy.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Be friggin' awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Now, this next story is pretty damn awesome. It's still a rumor at the moment, but I'm hoping this one does pan out, and that is The Flash is looking to get Robert Zemeckis as director of this film.
Which is out of left field as far as I'm concerned, but when you think about it, it's like, hell yeah, that would be amazing.
Like, this guy has got an eye for special effects, and considering this film will be quite heavy in visual effects, you couldn't have asked for a better director, in my opinion. Yeah,
but also, not just special effects, but he can do light really well. I mean, Back to the Future, Romancing the Stone, like, it's got the flashy kind of vibe. And, he can do tracks of fire very well, and, Flash is all about that. So I think it's really good.
Well, it's kind of interesting because they're going to have to get a director who's happy to kind of just follow the lead that's been followed by Zack Snyder. Obviously, we're going to see the Speed Force in the Justice League film, so he kind of doesn't really get to have his own take of what the Speed Force is going to look like.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just one element, though. And I kind of like the Flash better when they play down the Speed Force. I don't think it's a very interesting part of his character. I'm sure some people do, and all power to you, but it's not my favorite aspect. So, look, let him have it, and if Robert Zemeckis can give us a good, light-hearted Flash romp, I'm all for it.
Well, DC is kind of doing the complete opposite of what we spoke about last week with Marvel.
Yes.
Like they go for these no-name directors who have just done independent films and almost dramas. Pretty much everyone's just do dramas except the Russos. But DC is swinging for the fences and trying to get these big-name directors in to try and recapture the audience that they're expecting.
That's a very interesting observation, actually. I wonder why that is. I wonder if they're getting people they think can fill the holes in their vision.
I think it's more desperation than anything.
Yeah.
I don't think they have the time up their sleeves like Marvel has, to
curate the talent.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, that's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, I'm down with you on that. But look, let's hope RZ gets this, because that would make me all the more excited for the DCEU.
Yeah, absolutely. This one story I was very excited about, much like everything that we're going to talk about tonight, and that is new additions to the Lion King cast.
Yeah.
Did you want to speak about these two?
Well, look, Seth Rogen as Pumbaa is pretty cool.
Yes.
I assume that's out of the two of them who he'd be playing.
Yes,
I think that's a great
Pumbaa,
idea.
Yes.
Yeah. He's got a great voice. He's a really good character actor. I'm excited.
And he's quite portly too.
Exactly, which is very important when you're playing Pumbaa. I don't know about Billy Eichner, though.
I'm exactly the same in boat as you.
Yeah, if you don't know who he is, he's you might have seen him around. He's a comedian. He's got like this really shrill voice, and he shouts a lot. He's got kind of a dicky eye if you're looking for a visual, and he just makes like outrageous claims and drags people on outrageous journeys. And sometimes he's funny. He was great. He was in Parks and Recreation in the last season. So maybe with another writer, with people writing his lines for him, he'll be good. He'll tone it down a little bit. But I don't know. He's got a lot of big shoes to fill with
Yeah,
Timon.
I would have thought they would have gone for a bigger name, to be honest, or a more recognizable voice.
I think he's big. He's definitely got a recognizable voice, but I think he might be bigger in the States than he is here.
Yeah, possibly.
But what's his face playing in the first film? Oh my god, I'm the worst at this game. Was awesome, and as much as it's big shoes to fill the genie. There's going to be big shoes to fill Timon as well.
I agree. And I'll give you some buffer so you can jump on IMDb and see.
I'm doing it right now.
All right. Well, they're gonna join the cast of James Earl Jones as Mufasa, Donald Glover as Simba, and they're also trying to get Beyonce to voice the role of Nala too, which would be very cool considering the vocal talent that she's got, and she does have a few songs.
Oh, that's interesting. Nathan Lane. I'm such an idiot.
Yeah.
All right. I think she's too old. How old is Beyonce?
Yeah, but you don't have to see her.
That's true, but she will be acting alongside Donald Glover, who is awesome. I love that casting. She's 35. Wow, she's 35. That's amazing. She's done so much for being 35.
Yeah. She started him young.
Yeah. And Donald Glover, sorry, I'm really keen of it. So he's 33. Okay, you know what? Go for it. It'll be awesome.
It's got
I
your
changed my opinion completely. Sorry, Beyonce, if you're listening, you have my blessing.
Well, there was a really good quote by Jon Favreau, and he spoke about the challenges of making this new Lion King. And he said that the Jungle Book was 50 years ago and the Lion King was 20 years ago. People grew up in the age of video where they could just watch the Lion King over and over. So he's really going to examine the plot points and also the mythos of the Lion King, and try and honor those and meet the expectations that people are going to have because this is such a well-regarded film.
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's my wife's favorite film, and she doesn't like a lot of movies. So does that indicate to you that he might be thinking of changing the plot somewhat?
I hope not, and especially this one, and along with Aladdin and with Beauty and the Beast as well. You have to keep all the songs too, because this is, especially The Lion King. He had massive songs coming out of this film, so all of those have to stay. So I don't think there's a lot of room for movement in this, in my opinion.
Do you think they'll bring back Jeremy Irons? Because that guy was the friggin' boss.
Yeah, he was awesome as Scar.
Did you know, though, that he didn't sing all of Be Prepared?
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know the part where he says, he growls, he says, "You won't get a sniff without me," or something like that. Mm. He actually heard his voice doing that. Oh, okay. So the actor who plays Ed had to sing the rest of it for him and just impersonate him, but he does a fantastic job.
Well, there you go. This is turned
into a movie trivia for you.
Yeah, this has turned into our mini segment of shit you probably didn't know. So
exactly right.
That was a good one.
So there you go. But yeah, I'd love him to come back because he was perfect. And if Mufasa if James Earl Jones coming back from Mufasa, him coming back as Scar would just be amazing.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I'm surprised I haven't gone down that route, to be honest. We should get on the phone to Favreau.
Maybe Irons is holding out for more moolah.
Yeah, possibly. Who knows?
Ever since he did that Dungeons and Dragons movie, he can pretty much get whatever he wants.
All right, well, James Cameron, again, has pushed back the dates of the Avatar sequels.
These better be the best friggin' movies when they eventually come out.
Well, originally they were supposed to come out 2018, 2020, 2022 and 23. So we're supposed to have one next year, but now they've been pushed back to December 18th, 2020, December 17th, 2021, December 20th, 2024, and December 19th, 2025.
That's crazy. My kid is going to be midway through high school at that point.
By the time it finishes.
Yeah, which is insane to think about.
It is. It's crazy to think that we still have to wait so long to see the conclusion of his story.
He's really got a lot of faith in these stories. If the next one comes out and he's like, well, next one in 4 years, and everyone was, you know what, just keep it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Kind of over it. But you're right, though. Like, as I said, I will back James Cameron all the way.
Oh, yeah.
You would have to be a game changer again.
Yeah, I don't know what... I mean, like I said, I really enjoyed the first one, but it can't just be that for the next 17 films.
It was the 3D that sold that film. If that movie was just by itself, I don't think it would have been the monster hit that it was.
No, no, no. Oh, look, even though everyone poo-pooed the plot and it was simple, I still felt for the characters. I still enjoyed seeing it on screen. I still wanted them to win, and he was one of the most, up until that point, one of the best villains I'd seen on screen. So it had other things going for it, but I agree. The spectacle is gone. He needs to really rely on story now.
Yes. Now, this next piece of news was like a sitting on a roller coaster. There was a high, there was a low, and there was a high again. It was the announcement that they're finally going to make, hopefully, a very good He-Man film.
How could it not be good?
We've had a Masters of the Universe already with Dolph Lundgren, which was
Yeah.
very so-so. It was probably okay for the time. I remember loving it as a kid. I haven't
Yeah.
gone back to watch it again, but
Don't.
I doubt it's... So when this news got announced, I was like, yes, finally. Because they've been talking about doing this for ages, and they wanted to turn it into like a Lord of the Rings-esque trilogy, have this whole mythology
That would
type
be awesome.
film. And then that got canned and never really took off. And then it got announced, and then they're like, yes, He-Man's going to be announced with McG directing. I'm like, oh no. So that was the low. And I'm like, oh, fuck, of all people, because he is an abomination of a director.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can't decide out of him and Brett Ratner who is actually worse, in my opinion. But then I went back on a high. A day later, it's been announced that Brett Ratner McG will not be directing this film, and they're currently looking for a director. So fingers crossed. I would love someone like Peter Jackson to tackle this universe.
That'd be pretty amazing. I think he'd have a great eye for it.
Were you too young for the He-Man craze back in when you were kids?
I was slightly, but my brother was right into it. So and therefore you get into it through osmosis.
Yeah.
I was all about She-Ra though, man.
Yeah,
We used to run around. He was He-Man, I was She-Ra. We got up to mischief.
Yeah, so basically the story of He-Man is it follows Prince Adam, who has the ability to transform into a warrior called He-Man. And as He-Man, Adam is the last hope for the magical land named Eternia, which is ravaged by technology and the evil Skeletor. Now, I was more of a Skeletor fan than a He-Man fan. I've always liked the villains. They've always been more interested to me. So I would love to hopefully see this done right and up on the big screen.
Yeah, the casting for this movie will be paramount because Skeletor is such a bizarre villain. He's kind of a really bigger than life campy villain. Not campy, but
Yeah,
I don't know,
he was rather
pretty
campy
amazing.
in the cartoon
Yeah.
when you go back and look at him.
yeah, like the part where he walks through the mirror to escape from He-Man, and then puts his arm back through and smashes the mirror so that he can't be followed,
Yeah.
and just vanishes. Like that's. I kind of hope they go that kind of crazy with it.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. So that was the news that got me excited, and I know this one, the next one, got you really excited.
I'm still excited.
And that's Jeff Goldblum is coming to join Jurassic World 2.
That is just joy to my ears. I'm
Yeah.
just imagining now, Salt and Pepper Goldblum, chest out, lying, reclining on a table somewhere, breathing.
When I saw it, I'm like, oh god, Shaun is going to cream his pants when he gets this.
I'm surprised you didn't hear it. Did you hear Jeff
I
Goldblum's
heard a
in
scream,
Sydney?
oh my pants!
Oh God,
Jackie,
And did you-
get me a new pair of pants!
what more Jeff Goldblum news? God damn it! Did you hear he was in Sydney working at like a food van?
What?
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum. He was promoting something, but there was a food van called Chef Goldblum's,
Oh, cool.
and he was just like there handing out like food. I
That's
can't
awesome.
remember.
Maybe he was here for the Independence Day abomination last year.
And this was like 2 days ago.
Huh. I don't know
Yeah.
what he was at. Maybe he was here when he was doing Thor Ragnarok. Maybe doing reshoots.
Oh yeah, that could be it.
That
Yeah,
was shot
maybe he
up
was
on
going
the Gold Coast.
Yeah, I don't know. But they were free. I'm like, that's flipping awesome. And he's a really interesting guy. Like, apart from his characters, he's just a joy to listen to. So
Yeah, he's a different cat, that's for sure.
he really is. He dances to his own vibe.
Yeah, I agree. Now, as I said, there was just excitement all week this week. And this one, I was really excited for He-Man, but this is the one that really got me excited. And it kind of has a spoiler element to this story. So I'm just giving spoilers. It's a movie that's already been out for a couple months. So M. Night Shyamalan has finally announced that he is doing a sequel for Unbreakable, which is going to come out in 2019. Now, M. Night Shyamalan came out of the woodworks when he made The Sixth Sense, and everyone wanted to know what he was doing next. And then he brought out this superhero film called Unbreakable, which wasn't necessarily marketed as a superhero film, and this was before the Marvel DC craze as well. So this was our first taste of it. And when this movie came out, man, it split critics so badly because a lot of people shit on it, but a lot of people loved it, and I was one of those people who loved it.
Yeah.
So then he made this film. It was reasonably successful. And then everyone kept asking, when are you going to do a sequel? When are you going to do a sequel? Because it lends itself to a sequel, lends itself to a trilogy, realistically. And then, did it come out this year or last year? The film called Split came out. And, spoilers, basically Split is an origin story for a villain that it's set inside this world of Unbreakable. So the end credit scene teases that it is part of this world. And it's officially been confirmed that now the third film called Glass is, the third film in this trilogy now is called Glass, which is based on Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Which is cool. And I'm really keen to get Samuel L. back to a character who's not just screaming all the time, because he's a really engaging actor.
Yeah. So the film's going to bring back Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, James McAvoy, and Anya Taylor-Joy, who played the female in the film Split. Now, if you haven't seen Split, go out and watch it because it's fantastic. It's an absolute tour de France by James McAvoy. You know, it's acting at its best, in my opinion. He plays so many different characters and he's able to transform into them on a whim. It doesn't matter which one he's doing. He can do 6 or 7 and they all transform into each other, which is unfreaking believable.
There's also a great honest trailers out for it at the moment as well.
Yeah, that is quite cool.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this one. As I said, I've been waiting a long time for this one, and I'm finally glad that Shyamalan has now got some backing behind him and is actually back doing good films again.
They're saying that like this is the biggest Shyamalan twist of all, that he comes back and is actually a good filmmaker.
It's true. He did come out with some turds. We've spoken about it previously a lot, but yeah, it's good to see him finally back on the right track. All right, well, one film that I really want to see a sequel for, and the director has come out and hinted at it, and that's George Miller has come out and said that he's got 2 scripts ready to go for 2 sequels to 2015's Mad Max Fury Road, and they're just waiting for the planets to align to make these films. Now, for me, at Warner Brothers, if you're listening, the planets don't have to align. Just give him the fucking money.
It's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. I don't understand what's taking so long to greenlight these films. The film was a critical success. I think it was nominated for Oscars. I don't know if it won any. I can't remember. And it made a shitload of cash.
Yeah.
What more do you need?
And the best thing about the sequel is the Doof Warrior is returning, apparently.
Yes, they're going to give a backstory to him. They know who his mother is, and we're going to find that out in the next story, which is going to be called Mad Max: The Wastelands.
Okay.
So George Miller has come out and said, at least this time they've given a lot of thought into the backstories of a lot of their characters. They've really polished the script nicely, and now they're just waiting for the green light. But as I said, I don't know what is taking so long.
All right, Mad Max and the Oscars. 1 Best Costume Design, 1 Best Film Editing, 1 Best Sound Editing, 1 Best Production Design, 1 Best Sound Mixing, 1 Best Makeup, nominated for Best Picture, Director, Cinematographer, and Visual Effects. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, what more do you want?
Get onto it, guys.
Exactly, I agree. And it's a film that, when you speak to anyone who's seen it, everyone loves it. So, I reckon it's more well-regarded than the first one, and everyone loves the first film. So
I wonder if it's a casting thing, because I'm not sure how much fun Tom Hardy had on the film, and or Charlize Theron. Although I'm not sure Theron would return anyway, her character, but even Tom Hardy, I'm not sure he enjoyed the shoot.
Fuck him. Just throw some money at him.
Or just have a new Mad Max. Do it like James Bond. Just have a new Mad Max in every film. That could be cool.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason why it couldn't work.
I'd like to see Jake Gyllenhaal, Channing Tatum.
For a change, you actually haven't applied for the job. What's going on?
I have. Why do you think Miller has a restraining order against me? For this reason.
I don't blame him.
I'll just add him to the list.
All right, well, love or hate wrestling, there's one person that you have to admire, and that is Vince McMahon. What are you laughing at?
Oh, nothing, yeah. He's definitely someone I would imagine. I really admire that guy.
Well, if you think about how cheesy wrestling is, and basically the secret is out now. Everyone knows, obviously, it's not real. But for him to turn this into such a juggernaut that it actually
Yeah, I
is,
guess so.
I would love to find out more because he's a third generation wrestling promoter. He was given the WWE by his dad, and it was really small time. And you think about the spectacle that it is now and the money that it generates. There has to be a fantastic story behind that, and now we're going to see that. TriStar Pictures is putting a biopic into production.
Which will be really interesting. If nothing else, even me as I'm not really a wrestling fan, I would see this movie because
Yeah.
I think the world is quite interesting.
Yeah, as I said, even though you know everything, and me especially, like I've always been a fan growing up, and the two events that always captures my imagination is the Royal Rumble and then WrestleMania. I don't really watch anything in between that, so that happens once a year, and it always grabs me. And they have these really good documentaries. They've got their own channel now, their own streaming service, and their docos are as good as anyone out there. So I'm not sure if they're involved in this production or whether it's just going to be a studio film. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this one.
Yeah, check it out. Do you think we'll get a bit of McConaughey to be McMahon?
That would be cool, actually. I like
Yeah.
that choice.
I can see that happening.
But Vince McMahon is actually quite ripped, so McConaughey would have to put on a lot of beef, in my opinion.
I didn't realize he was hiding all those muscles under the suits.
Yeah, he's a big man. He's a big unit.
I'm just going to Google Vince McMahon shirtless.
It would be quite funny if they actually got The Rock to play Vince McMahon.
I think they've got other. Yeah, okay, let's do it. Wow, he is ripped.
Yeah, I told you, he's a big
Jesus.
man. He's a
Yeah.
very big man.
It's a unit.
All right, well, speaking of The Rock, one of his next films is I wouldn't say a remake, but it's a movie about the video game Rampage. Now,
I'm excited about.
when this was announced, we were like, how the fuck are they going to make a movie about this? But apparently the plot details have been leaked, and this is the story as far as we're aware. The story begins with 3 canisters from an experimental, privately owned space station falling to Earth around different parts of America. These 2 siblings own the company to that station, and it's too late to stop the monsters forming from these canisters, so they end up coming up with a plan that they're trying to lure the beasts to their head office in Chicago, ensuring that all evidence of these experiments have been destroyed. So The Rock will play an ex-Marine who has raised the ape George, teaching him sign language. Naomi Harris is going to play a scientist for the company who helps Johnson try and stop the monsters from destroying Chicago.
This is a little bit disappointing because in the game, you are a person who becomes the monster. And when you get beaten, you turn back into a little person. And if you're quick enough, if you're the other monster, you can grab them and eat them.
Yes.
So, but in this one, it looks like they're animals who get mutated.
Yeah, so
That's
it
not
kind of
as fun.
sounds like they said, what movie can we mix with a disaster film? Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
The Ninja Turtles. Let's do the Ninja Turtles.
That's exactly right.
We'll get the ooze and we'll get some giants and we'll just destroy a city and we'll have some beautiful destruction porn.
Which, look, for this, that's what it is. I mean, that's what the game was. So I'm not against that. I hope they don't go too... I mean, what I'm seeing here is Dwayne Johnson is going to be, like, trying to talk down the monkey one, who's going to become a good... Like, doing the sign language and whatnot to become, a hero. Like, it doesn't need a hero. It just needs shit getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather watch a film about 3 amoral people who can turn into giant monsters beating the crap out of each other and no one come out on top, rather than trying to force some kind of moral or story on here.
Yeah. They're basically just using the title of the game so it's got some recognition and then just creating their own story. So it's got nothing really to do with the game itself. They're just using it. So people are like, oh yeah, Rampage. I remember that from the 80s.
Yeah. Well, let's see what it's like.
All right. Well, Marvel might be looking for a new Gamora this week.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll play it.
You are like a
Chris Pratt.
really cheap whore. You know that? You just like put yourself out there for everything. Well, the actress who plays Gamora this week, Zoe Saldana, is that how you say it? Saldana?
Yeah, who's awesome.
Yeah, who plays Gamora. we don't know if it's real or not, but she kind of let slip that the fourth Guardians film is going to be called The Gauntlet or Avengers, the Infinity Gauntlet, which really comes as no surprise because I think these were called the Infinity Gauntlet to start with, and then it got changed to the Infinity Wars. So, everyone's up and down, oh, she let it slip, but, I don't think she let the cat out of the bag, to be honest.
No, it could have been. It could have just been from when they were calling it the Gauntlet. I'm sure she was in talks at that time, so that's probably what she originally knew it as, and just still calls it that. So I know
already that these are based on the Infinity Gauntlet story.
Exactly.
But
so it's not. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised though if the Infinity War is a separate story, and then the Infinity Gauntlet is set on the book.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because we know that Thanos is going to carry over the two.
Yeah.
So maybe the Gauntlet is the second film.
That could be interesting. But even so, I don't think she's spoiled anything.
No, neither do I.
If Zoe, if you're listening, don't worry. You got no beef. You're good.
Yeah. And don't worry, we know you're not listening, so it's fine.
She's like, phew, no, I'm not listening. Lucky. Wait a minute, there's a paradox.
Now, how much of a fan are you of the Guardian series?
As in...
Books, comics?
The Guardians of Ga'Hoole?
Yeah.
No, okay, I assume you're not talking about the Owls.
No.
Well, I don't really know them, to be honest. My first even though I was a comics reader, my first exposure to Guardians of the Galaxy was the film.
Okay, well, there's a character named Adam Warlock, and James Gunn has a massive hard-on for him, and he was nearly put into the sequel, Volume 2, but it looks like he's going to play a big part in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which James Gunn now is going to write and direct, as we spoke about last week. Warlock is an artificial human created by human scientists who escapes and journeys into space and eventually gains the power to absorb the energies of living creatures. He's obviously been aligned with the likes of Fantastic Four, the Silver Surfers, the Avengers, and the Guardians of the Galaxy. So there was a story this week, and one of the mid-credit scenes in Guardians Volume 2 is we see one...
This isn't too much of a spoiler, no, it's not really part of the main story.
It's not part. But one of the characters says that they're creating Adam. So I'm guessing this is the Adam that they're referring to.
Yeah.
And there was also talks this week that after Guardians 3, they might actually set up a new set of Guardians, and Adam might be part of the new core 4 or 5 that are going to be the next Guardians of the Galaxy. So we might not see any more of the likes of Star-Lord, Groot, Gamora, Drax. We could see a whole new set of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, they're becoming too expensive.
Yeah, I agree. And most of them are only signed for 6 films. So once you do those 3, you do the Avengers, their contracts are pretty up. And as you said, after those contracts are up, they're just going to ask for more kaching. So you would think the right idea. And I reckon that we're going to see this completely across the board. I think we're going to get new Cap. I reckon we're going to get a new Thor, because they've set up already the Jane Foster Thor in the comics. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get the female version of Thor. We're going to get, obviously, Captain Marvel, and they just keep introducing all these new ones, and the old ones eventually will be phased out.
Which is good. I think that's the right way to do it, because in these films, you can't do what you do in the comics, which is just have the same character for decades, because people age. It costs too much money. So this is a nice way to keep it fresh, keep it interesting, but also retain the history that they've created.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually, after Phase 4 of the Marvel films, is that we kind of get like a reboot, what they do in the comics. Like they've told that story, and then we'll go and start a different story, and you might get all these new actors. It might be the same characters, but we'll just get a rebooted Marvel universe.
Yeah, which I'm down with. I cannot wait.
It's going to be interesting because, it would have to be good. Like, a lot of people obviously invested so many years in this franchise for having the whole thing to be scrapped and started again. It'll be quite interesting to see if they can pull that off.
Well, I'm excited. Bring it on.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kevin Feige came out and said that there's actually a massive time jump between the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and the Avengers Infinity War, which is interesting because obviously we've got Spider-Man, we've got Thor. Then next year we've got Black Panther and Ant-Man and Wasp and Infinity War. So, there's a 4-year gap. So we're never really known if the Guardians universe is on the same parallel and movement as the, well, I'd say the Earth storyline of the Marvel Universe.
I mean, that's true. I mean, the Guardians could have happened 10 years ago, or, could have been happening 10 years in the future. It's kind of hard to put down.
And the way they've set up, especially obviously the first one and now the second one, they're kind of their own standalone universe, where the other ones are heavily connected. Obviously, there's little Easter eggs here and there, but there's no real link yet back to what's happening down on Earth with the Guardians. So obviously he's come out and said that probably the next time we see Groot, he'll probably be fully formed again. The relationships will be different between the Guardians when we see them in Infinity Wars, because there has been a lot of time in between.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. So
maybe a hint.
Yes, but as I said, it's kind of strange. I don't know what he'd be hinting at there.
Well, maybe we can talk about that in spoilers.
Yeah, possibly. All right, and just quickly, there was a story that was added today. It was kind of confirmed, or there was always this fan theory that Stan Lee has just been playing the same character in every single Marvel film that he's appeared in. And Feige actually come out and confirmed that theory today. And there were 2 scenes in The Guardians where he drops mentions about all the different characters that he's played throughout the Marvel Universe. So that's something for you to keep an eye out when you do end up watching Guardians. So it's pretty much revealed that he is playing the same character over, which is pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, I agree. He should. That's the way it should be.
But I don't know how it works, though, because at one stage he was playing Hugh Hefner, so I don't know how that worked.
Well, because Hugh Hefner is a Celestial, obviously.
And didn't he play Larry King at one stage as well?
Oh, I can't remember that.
I can't remember. But he dropped mentions about being the... what's the courier company that he was with? UPS or something? That he was the UPS man, and that was in one of the ones that we saw already. All right, well, that wraps up the movie news this week. So we're going to talk about probably more spoilers now in terms of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So if you haven't seen it, press pause on your device, go out and watch the movie, and then just press resume when you come back. We'll wait for you.
Easy. Yeah, okay, we'll just wait. It's 2.5 hours. Right, let's go.
All right, spoilers. So as I said in my initial review, I thought the opening act was awesome. I loved how we saw the battle with this giant alien thing, but we kind of just saw it in the background. The focus was on Groot, and the battle was just happening around him. So I love that, and I thought that was a really different take.
It was very much like the first opening sequence of the first film. It was like, how can we do that, but better? And I do think they did a better job.
Yeah. You can see the parallels between the films as well. Like obviously there was another breakout scene or jailbreak scene kind of, and we've seen in the first one and we've seen in the second one. But as I said, I did like, to a degree, the Star-Lord and Eco storyline, but I just thought it kind of dragged a little bit, and there was way too much explanation where I didn't think it had to be. It showed that Eco was a real man-whore. He just had kids on every single planet that he went on.
I love the scene where they reveal like all the different women that he's slept with and all the different creatures, I guess, that he's slept with, and all the different ways that he's had to do it. That was pretty funny. Yeah.
But as I said, for me, it was the second act that really took me out of the film. If I had Tinder, I probably would have been swiping left and right as well.
When you think about it, though, like nothing really happens in the Star-Lord story. He gets picked up really right at the beginning of the film, spends a bit of time on Ego, and then leaves. Like nothing else much really happens. Most of the action is the Yondu storyline.
Yeah, which was fantastic. I thought that was a really good close of the film, and I really loved that character development. I don't think it was as polished as it could have been. I thought maybe it was a little rushed, but we'll get onto that more. But as I said before, I just felt like it was just Star-Lord's film, and because there's just so many characters, they just can't do a storyline for everyone. And the fact that we had the first 5 and then they added Nebula and then they added Yondu, it was just way too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do like, and Mantis as well.
Yeah, and Mantis. Sorry, the 3 characters about it.
Yeah, I do like. I mean, they did some development with Gamora and Nova. I thought that was. I mean, I thought it was a bit hammy. Like I wasn't really drawn in, but I thought it was fine. It was good. I actually liked the character Nova a lot more after this film than I did the first one. I thought she had a little bit more going. I'm interested to see what her character is going to do next. I keep saying Nova, don't I? Yeah, Nebula. I'm interested to see what she's going to do next, and I did feel a little bit bad for her at times.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it actually showed how much of a real prick Thanos is.
Yeah.
So, without actually showing him, we actually got to see how much of an arsehole he actually is, and I thought that was quite good. But just quickly, while we're talking about Nebula, the actress who played her, in my opinion, was horrendous. Every line she delivered had to be with a real growl, like, you did that and that. And I'm like, you don't have to ham it up every time you say a sentence. You can talk normally, and and she didn't really do it in the previous films. It was just this one that I picked it up, and it really shit me, to be honest.
Yeah, she's generally pretty good, Karen Gillan.
Yeah, I'm not knocking her. She's been, fantastic in a lot of things. But as I said, I just thought she really hammed it up in this one.
Maybe it was just the direction this
Possibly
time.
too, yeah.
Either way, I'm keen to see what she's going to do next. I love the part where she's coming to hunt Gamora, and they crash in the cave, and then Gamora picks up, like, you forget how strong she is because they kind of don't really do it much, play on it much. But then Gamora picks up the massive gun off the ship and starts firing. I thought that was righteous.
Yeah, that was really cool too. And I've kind of got this theory now that apart from the Russos, when a director comes back after nailing it the first time in the Marvel Universe, they really drop the ball.
Struggle.
Like Jon Favreau really dropped the ball with Iron Man 2 after knocking it out of the park. Joss Whedon, I reckon, dropped the ball with Age of Ultron. And now I think that James Gunn has kind of dropped the ball with Guardians Volume 2.
I wonder if they get just too involved in themselves because the first ones are so well received. And that's not knocking. I mean, they're all great directors, but maybe they just, they can't see outside of their own world.
Yeah, possibly. And don't forget, it's a massive investment for them. It's like 3 years of their lives working on one film, and then you got to invest another 3 straight away. So I'll be interested to see how it happens with Ant-Man, because I think, I can't remember what his name was, Peyton something. He's come back for the second one of that. So whether that happens again, I'm not sure. But I'm kind of worried now for the third installment because, if going by our theory that... maybe they're just too involved and they need a different light on what's going on in that universe.
Well, it's interesting that you said before about there will be some time between the films and then the relationships will have developed. I wonder if that just means that Star-Lord and Gamora will just be a couple.
Yeah, possibly. That could happen, definitely.
And just kind of get rid of the whole will they, won't they storyline and just, lock it in. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Maybe even have a little kiddie.
What did you think of the overall story, the Star-Lord daddy story that was going on, the 3-way dad triangle that was happening?
I thought it was fine. I thought they kind of blew their wad a little bit early, I think, because in the last one they were all like, "Ooh, who is your mysterious father? Who could it possibly be?" Ooh, and then in the first 5 minutes of this film, it's like, "Hi, I'm your father. I'm a planet." So. Which I respect in one way because they're not just holding onto it for cheap drama, but on the other hand, it kind of took away from it a little bit.
Yeah. So spoilers again, but I thought it set it up really nicely. Like he wanted to see his son, but then when the story turned and he kind of more just needed his son. He needed the power of his son to basically take over every single planet.
I thought that was a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it kind of lost me. I'm like, oh, this is just. I would have expected that from just a simple standalone film. Yeah.
Or something.
But not to have that as as part of the Marvel universe where they've set up everything so well with Civil War and everything else and. The Winter Soldier, I wouldn't have thought that we got to that level. I thought we were past that level in the MCU, if that makes sense.
It also doesn't really make sense for Ego's motivation because I believe him when he says, "I was out there, I was so lonely, and I wanted to find life." But then his reaction is to, "Well, then I'm going to just kill everything and make just me the only thing." That didn't make much sense.
Yeah.
Unless I missed something in the story, I do think they could have found a better thing. I mean, I know they needed him to be a villain. But I just don't think that was a good way to go about it.
Yeah, there was no real explanation why. Fair enough, he wants to rule the galaxy, but he wants to take over every planet, but why? Why do you want to do that?
Did he say just because he felt that life was inferior to him? But
I don't know. Yeah,
like,
as I said, it
why
wasn't
wouldn't
really.
you just go off and be by yourself then? I don't know. Yeah, I do agree with that.
I think I was looking
I
at
think
the
the only
guy's Tinder at this stage too.
I'm glad you said Tinder there.
Yeah.
The only thing that really saved Ego for me was Kurt Russell, because the guy is
yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
If I was in Star-Lord's position there, I would have been like, oh my god, you're going to kill all the galaxy to get to hang out with Kurt Russell all day?
Yeah.
All right, if you gotta,
Yeah.
just kill everyone and then we can just throw a ball to each other.
Yeah. But on this storyline, they did answer a big question that I had at the end of the Guardians is, why did Yondu just accept that Star-Lord stole the Infinity Stone and wasn't pissed about it when he had a massive hard-on for it throughout the film? And basically the story was, or that question was answered in this one, is that basically Yondu was like a father figure to Star-Lord. And it wasn't until Star-Lord met his real dad, Ego, and found out what a dick he was, that he appreciated Yondu and how he was raised by Yondu. And even though Ego was his father, Yondu was his dad. So we kind of get the explanation of why Yondu never really punished Star-Lord for taking that Infinity.
And why he didn't bring... Because I thought that in the first film. Like, why didn't Yondu take him to his father? And that was kind of... I thought it was a bit... hammy when Gamora and Nebula just went down and saw like the bones of all the children. I mean, surely those bones would be not just in a pile in a cave, but whatever.
And there was a fucking shitload of them too.
Yeah, exactly, and that's fine. Like, there could be a lot, but I thought that was harking back to the first one. Was like, we need them to realize the truth. Yeah. How can we just get it done and move on? Yeah. So I thought that was a bit lame.
Yeah. So I think pretty much the overall consensus from you and I, well, for me anyway, I just don't think it was polished enough, in my opinion. Whether it's these films are too rushed because they set a deadline before a script's even done, I don't know. But as I said, I was expecting more, and the middle part of the film is what I was expecting from the Marvel Universe, maybe 10 films ago, not necessarily where we're at now.
Yeah. I'm hoping, that this will just be a speed bump. Like I said, I did enjoy it more than the first one overall. I really liked the Mantis character. I thought she was a lot of fun. And even though Drax didn't really have any development, I mean, he had some nice moments when he was talking about like his wife and his daughter and that kind of thing. But I thought they worked really well together, just as sort of a comedy troupe. And I really liked Rocket. I thought he had a fun sort of little arc in this film about, he treats people bad because he's scared of getting too close. I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's something. I mean, they had something. I think one of the people who had the least character development was Groot, I reckon.
Yeah, well, I think he was just there for cuteness and to sell toys.
And I'm really exactly right. I'm really glad at the end that you saw him as an adult, because I was as a teenager, because I was not over baby Groot, but I'm like, I want to go back to the Groot that we had before because he was awesome.
Yeah. So as I said about in the first part, is that there was just way too many characters, and you were never going to get the development out of 8 characters. So to get what they got out of it is good, but it's like you just can't throw 8 characters and expect a good
genius
film.
Yeah. And I'm really glad. I will say I'm glad we got to see Ego as the planet as well.
Really
I thought
cool.
that was good.
Yeah, as I said, the spectacle of the film is awesome. The visuals are fantastic. The soundtrack is amazing.
Yes.
Even if I had a dickhead singing over most of them. As I said, it has a lot going for it, and I think I'll appreciate it more the second time I watch it. Exactly. The hype won't be as much, and I'm sure I'll pick up on a lot more. So, but actually, what I was expecting though was I was expecting more of a tie-in to what we're getting now with all the other Marvel films. Like, these films are pretty much just their own standalone universe. There wasn't really much, and even in the end credits scenes, I was expecting this massive connection, but that never came as well. So
that's what I was hoping for, but no, nothing.
Yeah, they're kind of just doing their own thing up in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Although, did you notice Jeff Goldblum was dancing in the credits?
No, I didn't see that.
Jeff Goldblum's character from Thor.
Okay, no, I didn't see that.
Credits. Yeah.
Yeah, so
very sucky.
Yeah, as I said, I was waiting for that to, maybe because there was 5 of them. I was waiting for the last one to be the one where we see what's happening back down on Earth, but it just never came.
Yeah. One other thing I did like was the I can't remember what they're called, the gold people.
Yeah.
I thought they were a nice addition. And the Queen, she's an Australian actor who played the Queen of those people.
Yeah.
And the one who's, spoilers again, going to create Adam.
Yes.
The High Priestess. I thought, they were a lot of fun.
I like
the film was fun.
Yeah, the film was fun. But as I said, I think I was just expecting much more than what I got.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's fair considering the caliber of Marvel films that we've been getting, and because I love the first one so much. Yeah, as I said, I think I'll appreciate it a lot more the second time around.
Good call.
Yeah, but overall, it's a good start for 2017 from the MCU.
Yeah.
Now we've got to look forward to Spider-Man and Thor later in the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that Spider-Man hasn't just shown all the good bits. That's my only worry.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. I just want to quickly touch on two other films that I watched this week. One that we've spoken about before, and that's the Jordan Peele film Get Out. That was quite good. It was a really good story, and it was really executed really well. I won't delve too much into it, but if you do get a chance to watch it, that was a good one. And I watched the Robert De Niro film called The Comedian. This is like a small independent film. And I got to say, it's good seeing Robert De Niro do a film where he doesn't have to jerk off for laughs. It was good to see.
This time he was jerking off just for fun.
Yeah. It was good to see him play a character and not necessarily... a character that has some depth rather than just be the dirty grandpa that we've been seeing him of late. The really bad acting choices or paycheck roles that he's been doing. This is a small film. It's a great role for him, and it's good to see him do something that is more his age.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, well, that wraps up episode 13 of Not Another Movie Podcast. I'm Shaun Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And let your week be a good week until next week.